souls, it's Tan here again today on this astrology, gene key and human design channel with another video for you. And today we're going to be looking at the archetype of gene key number 14, human design gate 14, and that's the Scorpio archetype. From 24.30 degrees of Scorpio to 29.59 degrees of Scorpio, jumping over into about 0 degrees of Sagittarius. And because I'm putting out this video during Scorpio season, probably during the time when the sun is transiting gene key 14 as well, so therefore happy birthday to all you Scorpio out there, as well as those of you who have gene key 14 and human design gate 14 in your birth chart. So it's sort of more Scorpio energy, but it does have that cusp theme to it. So I've made an introduction to this series where I talk about the Zodiac Degrees and your highest destiny. So I also recommend that you check out that video first before you proceed, if you haven't yet. So I'll provide a link to that up above in the description box below, and you can come back here and watch this video. And if you've been keeping up with the channel and you feel like you like the content that I've been putting out, you can support me on a platform called coffee.com by buying me a coffee. And the support that you provide me with will go into purchasing tools and equipments that I use and need to purchase in order to make these YouTube videos for you guys, as well as doing readings. So I do apologize if you can hear some noises in the background. It's the construction that's going on next door again. So yeah, not much that I can do about it. Okay, so with this particular archetype, we are moving from at the shadow vibration, compromise, to the gift vibration of competence, and at the highest destiny, or in the gene keys, it's called the city level. This is bounteousness, radiating prosperity. And of course, the vision key bird totem for this archetype is the Toucan, the beautiful, splendid, vibrant Toucan. At the fear or the shadow vibration, it's the turtle, and at the life key, it's the badger. In the I-Ching, this archetype is fire over heaven, possession in great measure. The rapturous flame is fueled by the light of creation. This archetype belongs to the codon ring of fire. It is associated with the amino acid lysine. And the programming partner of this archetype is of course going to be gene key number 8, human design gate 8, and that's the Zodiac Degrees of Taurus, from 24.30 degrees to 29.59 degrees of Taurus and 0 degrees of Gemini. In human design, this archetype is part of the channel of the beat or empowerment 214, which links the sacral to the G or the identity center. Okay, so we're going to start off first by looking at the Toucan. And of course, when you're looking at the Toucan, the first thing that we tend to really draw our attention is going to be its beak. Like, how can a bird have such a big, vibrant beak? There's a lot going on in the Toucan with regards to this. So one of the reasons why the Toucan has such a vibrant beak is because it lives in tropical, rainforests, and it needs to be able to camouflage from predators into the fruits and the colors of the forest. But apart from that, with regards to the mechanics and the actual makeup of the beak, the Toucan's beak is actually quite foamy. It's actually hollow inside, and it's covered by a spongy foamy tissue, and the outer beak itself is actually made of keratin. So it's super light and can do a lot of things for the Toucan. The beak, of course, is able to catch fruit from a distance, and the Toucan kind of pulls fruit to it without having to move very much. So we can consider and say that the beak is very efficient. First of all, what the beak of the Toucan actually does is used mainly for heat dispersal. The Toucan has to live in a really hot climate, and so it needs to be able to disperse heat in a particular way. So the body of the Toucan actually is pretty cool, but the beak itself is full of energy that's very hot and disperses that heat. So it's used for thermoregulation. And when the Toucan sleeps, however, it tends to curl up its body so that the body touches the beak and the body wraps itself around the beak. and therefore the toucan is kept warm at night. Super efficient and kind of pretty cool, right? And with regards to its history, the Aztecs, when they saw the toucan, they thought that it was a messenger of God because they believed that the beak of the toucan was made of rainbows. So it is a symbol of bringing in rain. But apart from that, we can also think about it as that the toucan being a symbol of that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So if you have this archetype, some of your traits may be that there's something about your energy. Think about the beak of the toucan being that point of thermoregulation and heat and energy, but at the same time, it's super attractive and draws attention. That's your contagious energy. This archetype, this gate, gate 14 human design, is located in the sacral. So you are going to be somebody who can really listen to your gut, and if you follow the direction that your gut is going, a lot of great things can come to you. Your source of power, if we think about the toucan and its ability to be efficient and adaptable and flexible, your source of power really comes from your adaptability. And that is why the toucan is a competent bird. Just like you have a lot of competency within you. You're very competent, capable and competent individual. But okay, we're going to talk about competency later on and what it really means to be competent throughout this video. Also, therefore, you're going to be good, somebody who's going to be really good at making money, gaining wealth, gaining prosperity and abundance. And if we think about the Scorpio archetype in astrology, Scorpio ruling the 8th house. And the 8th house, we all know it as to be this dark house of sexuality, but it's also the house of shared joint resources, shared finances, the house of making some kind of investment to get the return of that investment. You know, Scorpio is that sign, and this house, the 8th house, is opposite to the 2nd house, which the 2nd house rules money, but a traditional means of making money, whereas the 8th house is a more unconventional alternative modes of making money. So Scorpio is really a sign of prosperity if we really think about it. Just like Taurus, Taurus is a sign of money, Scorpio is a sign of prosperity. Okay, so let's talk about the shadow of this archetype, which is called compromise in the gene key. This archetype, the 14, as well as the 8, if you've watched that video when I talk about gene key number 8, they both have to do with our education systems. The 8 has to do with how the education system can kind of suppress true self-expression. In the gene key 14, human design gate 14, this has to do with the way that the educational system suppresses one's sense of enthusiasm and excitement for education. You are born with this archetype having big dreams, strong passion for something. But as you begin to enter the education system, the monotony of the classes, the way that the classes are being taught, that dries up your sense of enthusiasm for your bigger dreams. So I like to look at this archetype from the perspective, and this is going to be my analogy here, of a wagon full of gold. So if you have this archetype, you're born with this wagon that's full of gold, potentials, wealth inside of you, abundance inside of you, spark, life force inside of you. But as you take that wagon into school, and we're going to consider schooling to be like a path that's kind of boring and kind of monotonous. You take this wagon onto that path and you don't really know where it's going, but it's like everybody's doing it. Yeah, I gotta go to school because everybody's going to school. And it gets tiring because it's so boring and you don't get to do anything with the gold that you have inside of you, that life force that you have inside of you. So what you end up doing is that because it's so tiring, you take out pieces of that gold to make the wagon lighter because you just have to keep going. And so the more you compromise to the drudgery of everyday life, especially school, you begin to take out more and more pieces of the gold inside of you because you don't like it. there's no passion there, there's no enthusiasm there, but you still have to keep going, and it's heavy to carry all of this enthusiasm inside of you, so it's better to chuck it out. Compromise also means that you give up your personal sense of freedom, because you may not believe that you have the capacity, and you may not believe that in yourself, and that you have the capacity and the courage to follow with your real passions and dreams, the one that you had when you were very young. So you opt and you settle for second best. And second best doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you put yourself in a position being under a boss. It can mean that you opt for the second best choice with regards to your career or what you want to do in your life, rather than that first initial, like first choice. Compromise also means that you give into peer pressure, societal pressure, family pressures. The gate 14 in human design is linked to gate number 2, and it forms this channel of the beat, right? It directly, and the 14 is in the sacral, the 2 is in the G, or the identity center, which is the center of direction. So if you're in touch with this energy, your direction in your life is going to be spot on. But if you're not in touch with this energy at the shadow vibration, you have no direction in life. You don't listen to what your body is trying to tell you with regards to where you should be going, and therefore, and part of that could be because you gave in to the pressures of your family, of the society, of your peers. And when you do that, when you're not going in your own passion and your own purpose and direction in life, how can you find enthusiasm in that? How can you even be excited about it when you don't know where you're going? You don't know the end. You know, this vision is not there. How can you be excited? In the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd mentions how the trait of compromise is a contagious trait, because when one person compromises, everybody else feels like they have to also compromise in order to fit in. And so when you're living a life of compromise, it's going to be hard to feel like you are getting wealth, abundance, and prosperity, because what you're actually putting out into the universe is lack. You're taking that wagon, like the analogy I mentioned earlier, you're born with like 100 pieces of gold, but as you go throughout life, you've got 50 left, and then 40, and then 20 pieces of gold in there. So if you're going on this journey and you're taking a wagon that's only got like 20 pieces of gold in there, the universe is going to give you just as much as you put out. That's what happens, but you'll feel lack, because you know that you actually had 100 in there, but you took that away, and now you only have 20 to give. You get 20 back. It's not going to be fulfilling for you. I hope that kind of made sense. Okay, so compromise will lead to, first of all, you feeling a sense of infertility. You know, the sacral energy, the sacral center in human design rules sexual energy, life force energy, and so there can be a lack of sexual desires. There can be lack of courage for sexuality and for other things in life. It can almost feel like the fire is choking you from the inside. Another thing that may happen when you're in the shadow vibration, it can be the opposite of that. It means that you're doing so much to prove yourself to the world. With regards to success, you know, going to school and trying to get to the top of your class, taking courses, getting diplomas and certificates, getting a lot of money, making a lot of money, you know, being famous, being accepted into some of the top, you know, companies that you want to work in, or the top schools in the world. But this is done from the motivation of proving your power and specialness and wanting to get recognition. But that will never fulfill you, because you're approaching it from a place of lack, from a place of, I need to feel powerful, I need to have recognition, because I cannot recognize myself, and I cannot feel the power within me. I can't feel that fire within me, so I need to search outside for something to feed into my power and to feed into my fire. That's a place of lack. And so it will never fulfill you because the universe will give you lack in return. And if people challenge you with regards to your success, if they question that, you can be somebody who can get pretty angry and may even lash out about it. But the thing about power is that power need not be proven. Real and true power, it's just there. Okay, so how do we move from the shadow into the gift vibration of competence? So competence doesn't mean that you get to the top of your class in school, for example, because if you really think about it logically, right? If you're at the top of your class, last year somebody was there, the year before somebody was there, next year somebody's gonna be at the top of your class. What are you doing differently? You're basically measuring yourself with regards to numbers, scoring, other people's standards. Competency doesn't mean that you're the best at what you do. Competency means doing something differently than other people. So Richard Rudd gave 4 key points to competency. The first one is efficiency. Efficiency makes you competent. The second one is flexibility. Flexibility can make you competent. The third is flair. Flair can make you competent. And the fourth is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm can make you competent. And these 4 things, they're already within you. That's the thing if you have this archetype. They're just this natural part of you. So it's almost like you don't even have to do more, but you have to do less. You have to be more and do less. So a quick example of enthusiasm would be somebody whose energy is contagious, right? And you have the ability to build up people's spirit so that people want to work together, so that people want to support your cause and support you, and so that people want to take on your ideas. That's enthusiasm, and that's competence. Efficiency means that you do something in the quickest way possible with the most quality by exerting lesser energy. Like think about the toucan that has that really adaptive and just super multi-purpose beak, and it can take fruit in from far away without having to move. So the exertion of your energy should be less than what you're getting back for it, but what you're getting back should also be of bigger quality. Not just quantity, but quality, and at the fastest way possible. That's efficiency, that's competence. Think about a business in which you didn't invest that much money, but you're making a lot of money quickly. How can you do that? That's gonna be up to you, but that's competence. Flexibility. Flexibility means that you do something that other people, or almost everybody, can adapt and use your ideas or the work that you put out. It can also mean, I'm interpreting from this, that you know how to approach obstacles in a flexible, adaptable way as well. And of course, flair. Flair is about doing something in your own style in a manner that nobody else can do, that nobody else can replicate. Being different, not being the best, but carving a new path and being different and unique. That's flair. And therefore, if your wagon is full of competence, the universe is going to give that back to you in return. The universe is going to give you wealth and prosperity and abundance. And so one of the ways to get in touch with this competence again, because this can be an actual, because this gate is in the sacral, right? I keep repeating that. This means that, it's not going to be enough to just know it, but it may also be something that you have to feel again in your body. So Richard Rudd calls this archetype, when you're getting in touch with the gift vibration, the fire in the belly. So you have to feel the fire in your belly again. You have to arouse that fire inside of you to wake up and to be ignited again. And one of the ways that you may do that can be to draw life force back into your body rather than kind of just suppressing it or throwing it away somewhere and proceeding with the mind. So drawing something towards you, like practicing drawing something towards you is going to be the key here, like the toucan that uses its beak to draw fruits, prosperity, abundance to it, rather than going out, jumping around and trying to search for food. So breathing exercises like prana yoga, working with prana, drawing that life force back into you and being in touch with that again is one of the ways that you can do that. Tantra dance, for example, where you get to feel your body, you get to feel the way that it moves, and opening up your sacral. Exercises with regards to the sacral, it's going to be really important. Because Tantra is, Tantra can be sexuality, but Tantra can be the opening up of your body to experience sensual pleasures that can ignite that fire, that passion, that enthusiasm within you again. Yes, so therefore, these energies require you to be more pulling, more inwards pulling, yes, rather than more outwards and external doing, shall we say. Okay, so how do we get to the highest destiny and the city level, which is called, with this archetype, bounteousness? So the highest destiny of this archetype is linked to what is called the morphogenetic field. I think I talked a little bit about this in one of my videos that I made last year regarding the 11th house and my experience of the 11th house, and how the 11th house is like a morphogenetic field where this field is an energy field that binds all living things together. Therefore, sometimes when one person is having some kind of insight, somebody else across the world may feel that and may have some particular, like, similar kind of an insight. It could be that there's this energy linkage that goes across, space to that other person. And I think I used the analogy of a quilt in my 11th house video, where, in a quilt, everything is being weaved together as such. So when something is moving over here, somebody else on the other end somewhere may feel it. It may not be directly linked, but that, because one energy is linked to another and another, therefore we are all linked. This archetype, when you're living at a higher vibration, which sometimes, that's no vibration at all, you can influence the morphogenetic field. So therefore, if you still possess fear, if you still are in the shadow of compromise, there will be some other individuals out there who are going to be influenced by this field and will be the same. They will be contagiously compromising. If you possess abundance and inner power and true competence, no fears, you're really shining, you're really yourself, you're going to be influencing somebody else out there to contagiously be competence. And competency is also contagious, just like compromise. Because individual power is actually collective power. Individual abundance is actually collective abundance. So the idea of personal power, that's actually an illusion. So true abundance is not about having more, gathering more. True abundance is about spreading higher vibrations, spreading higher energies. If you think about a forest that is abundant, right? When you say that a forest is abundant, it doesn't mean that one tree is abundant. If one tree is abundant and the other trees are not, or even let's say 50% of the trees are abundant and 50% of the trees are not, we cannot say that that is an abundant forest. So we cannot say that we have abundance if still parts of the society or the community that's not abundant, but we can definitely spread that abundance. If we think about the soil of the forest as that being the forest's morphogenetic field, you see, if the soil is tainted, it's going to affect the other trees, and the trees are not going to be fertile and be abundant and lush. It's like the human energy field, the human morphogenetic field. If the field is still tainted with lower vibration, lower energy of lack, of incompetence, of compromise, we are going to impact, and that's going to continue. And I know this may sound a little bit like controversial, but if we look at the government, the government institutions, for example, and how people are, working there, and they're trying to make their way up to the top of the systems, but they still carry fear, and they still carry lack. They still carry this mindset that to be competent means that I am accepted by particular institutions, but I'm still living in drudgery and I'm not happy with the work that I'm doing. You're still feeding into and allowing that type of an environment to exist. And so, of course, there's going to be people who love to climb the ladder and they enjoy that, and they're not doing it from fear. But there's going to be people out there who are not actually into that, but do it because, and succumb to the drudgery because they're not aware what competency, the meaning of that really is. And so those, that kind of a motivation will continue to support the understanding of what competency is not. It will still support the false, shall we say, interpretation of competency. And that's going to feed into the next generation and the next generation. And so we are truly not just individuals. We really are the building blocks for a higher life and a higher vibration. And if you have this archetype, switch off those shadow vibrations and get with your true competence, because you are going to be contagious with the way that you can raise all of our vibrations. And abundance, of course, abundance and prosperity. So beautiful souls, that's going to be my interpretation of this archetype. So if you have this, please comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. And do check out as well your programming partner, which is Gene Key number 8, Human Design Key 8, Zodiac Degrees of Taurus. And I released that video, I guess, sometime last week. And yes, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. If you're interested in an astrology, human design, gene keys reading, you can visit my website. All the information is there. I'd be happy and excited to do a reading for you. So yes, see you soon, beautiful souls. Bye.